Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you're all doing well. Good to see you. So last time we were kind of explaining and and documenting how and why the overlay on top of our human experience exists, and we talked about the different divisions or compartmentalizations of the human spirit through these political motivations like Democrats, Republicans, progressives, liberals, Trump, no Trump, socialist versus capitalist, language, skin color, gender, and did they take the fun juice? Did they not take the fun juice? Do they support Big Pharma? Do they not support Big Pharma? So there's all kinds of these different compartmentalizations that distort and minimize the cumulative agency of humans and prevent us from using our intent and our will in a group, as a group of the population, Earth humans. So, another way that we're going to document today for everybody, again, using the power of yoga meditation, which allows us to expand our awareness. This is the entire purpose of yoga meditation, expanding our awareness. And when we do that, the reality starts to take shape instead of just the pigeonhole or just the little tiny part of our little piece of life, the life pie, like we normally experience in these compartmentalizations. So last time we talked about how and why they're hiding these secret ancient royal family groups, like I mentioned, hailing mainly from small portions of the white Jewish, Christian, and Arab nations. So their techniques on how they hide our true identity and our true abilities with this high technology that can produce all of the world's necessities easily, effectively, cheaply, as well as organically. And they want to hide all that and replace it with the structure, the economic structure that we call today economics and politics and socioeconomics, that kind of thing. So this is just another technique that I am sharing with everybody because it's mostly hidden, just like with the dams covering the ancient cities. And so with this focus today, we're going to be looking at more of the economic side. And again, the reason why I'm making these videos is because we're breaking down the indoctrination that forces us as individuals into these little pockets of compartmentalization. Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Do you hate Trump? Do you love Trump? Do you hate Biden? Do you love Biden? Our human tendencies, and this is what I teach in my yoga classes available at sapananda.org, our human tendencies, because of how our consciousness works, can get us into a lot of trouble when we are not necessarily aware of the power of our consciousness, especially in large numbers. And that's what I will be teaching today, the economics side of the same compartmentalization and the same continuation of the modern narrative going towards technology and away from humanity. So this is another reason that I will be giving everybody to hopefully dislodge them from the compartmentalization. Because when we go to Costco, when we go to Whole Foods, rather than going to trusted and notable organic farmers and ranchers, we end up giving money to the general fund because of how the tax flow occurs. So when we vote in the politics, we end up giving our money essentially to these individuals because of how the tax flow works. It goes into the general fund, and then that general fund is usurped by several different international interests like Israel, like the UK, like Saudi Arabia, like China. Okay, so this is why we don't want to participate in all of these things, because we're being used without our knowledge in a grand scheme that is mostly imperceivable due to the finite nature of human consciousness, as well as the constraints put upon humans in the compartmentalization of the human spirit, like we talked about last time. So we're going to start off today with Mother Jones, the big bank merger timeline. Okay, so since the 90s, we've gone from all of these different banks to fewer and fewer banks. Okay. And so let's look at, while all of this is occurring, we have two distinctly opposite trajectories. The buying power of the US dollar is being downgraded, while the buying power of the Chinese dollar is being upgraded. And the reason this is occurring has to do with the priorities and the different elements of this greater structure that occurs beyond our perceptions, and that's why I'm making this video. So, as these bank mergers are occurring, there is less and less access to money. Okay? At first, there were a large number of banks where access to money was at the peak, and now, because there are less and less banks, access to money by us, the human population, is being reduced and funneled. You can clearly see this funnel occurring. And so quite often they will say, oh, well, the United States is a colonist power. We're waging war on Arab nations. But it's not that simple. We're doing it at the behest of these other more secretive organizations that prop up countries like Israel or Saudi Arabia, the Saudi royal family, or the secretive UK royal family and the interests and other families connected to them. So it's not as simple as, oh, it's the United States' fault. That's actually part of the deception, to use us and our people and our young boys and girls in the military as a scapegoat. So as the money is getting funneled into these smaller and smaller hands, or bigger and bigger hands, and smaller and smaller hands in terms of what we have access to. I also typed in this at the St. Louis Fed. We're looking at the currency in circulation. Okay, so as the banks are merging and getting fewer in number, the access to the money, at least for us, is dropping. And yet the currency in circulation is being increased. So as the money is being harder to get, there's more and more in the population. So where is this money going? Where is the bulk of these American dollars actually going to? Because now it's harder and harder to get it as there are fewer and fewer banks. Okay, so this is just a question we're posing. And when we look more closely, 1990, who was the president in the 90s? Who was the president in the 2000s, the 2010, right? The 2020. The presidents are not necessarily themselves responsible for this. A lot of the times on the TV, you'll hear them say, oh, Obama did this, or Trump did this, or Biden did that. But that's a vast oversimplification meant to corral the nature of our consciousness into this one-dimensional type of villain scenario that does not exist. So this is a far more complex type of situation that we're seeing, and it happens to be very correlative with the downgrading of the U.S. dollar's buying power. And in another video, I can actually go into how to reverse this trend, because it's extremely possible and necessary for all of us to do that. But that might have to be another video. So we're going to see at where this money is going. So I typed in Rumsfeld, 2.3 trillion. According to various sources, Rumsfeld, the former U.S. Secretary of Defense, mentioned the inability to account for $2.3 trillion in transactions occurring in the DoD just before 9/1/1. So on September 10th, key quotes, it says, "Our financial systems are decades old. According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions." A direct quote from Rummy. And then, okay, that was in 2001, and now we fast forward to our day. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, $21 trillion unaccounted for. The claim that there is $21 trillion unaccounted for in the federal budget, specifically at the Department of Defense again, has been attributed to the great AOC. So again, there's all of this money that is disappearing while there are fewer and fewer banks. There's fewer places to get the money. So it's actually more traceable in that sense. And at the same time, there's more and more money to be gotten, right? But only by certain aspects of our population. So let's look at the different world economies by GDP. So we can see here that the GDP is around $26 trillion for the United States and 18 trillion for China. So that just gives you an idea of the scale of money that we're actually talking about. And now let's look at another development here, and so that we can get an idea of the level of money being spent here. So the Space Force budget was $26 billion. The president has proposed a budget of $800 billion for the Department of Defense, $200 billion for the Air Force and the Space Force. So that gives you an idea of the scale of the money that we're talking about. Okay, so what are they building? What are they using this $21 trillion for? Okay, well, we can see that the biggest economies in the world are around this 21 trillion, 15 trillion, 30 trillion type of marker. So they're literally having as much money that would be required to build a country. Okay, this is a very big secret, once again, that I am sharing with everyone in order to liberate them from this compartmentalization, from the total illusion that we receive on TV and in social media. Once again, we think quite confidently that we're voting, we're doing this or that, we're on the right side of history, we're supporting Big Pharma, we're supporting the presidency, we're supporting the economic practices of Tesla and international agreements that are crushing human beings. And one of the reasons why is because all of this stuff is hidden, and that's why I am now uncovering it for you all today. So they have enough money, AOC says, to actually build another country. So where is that country? That's my question for everyone today. Where is it? Okay.